So Danica Patrick originated in a fairly simple fashion, which was take Monado and just try to buff everything until she's at least as good as Alice. Um, I'm still not sure if that was successful. She's clearly stronger than any reasonable character could possibly be, but Alice and Juno are incredibly strong. I'm not sure. She is very very busted. I don't think she compares with Rugal at all. Uh,
I think I think part of what Moriarty kind of missed in terms of the mark is like he buffed everything, but they weren't all necessarily buffs that matter.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like notably,
And
Jump the
that's
Sonic
that's an
here
important.
is still Jump the Shark.
Yeah.
It's the same card. It just has more base damage essentially, and I think more max damage too. No, no, I think it is 6 on the original. No, I feel like it's +5 on the original maximum. Well, whatever, doesn't matter. But like the identity of the move hasn't changed. It doesn't do more than it used to. This is still barnstorming. It's just a barnstorming that is a little bit easier to hit with when people are watching for barnstorming. This one is very slightly different, but in a pretty niche way. Like, and the recursion doesn't matter that much. Uh, because your Monado, you were going to get it back to your hand anyway. This one is the substantive change. I think it's the only substantive change other than the Ultra, which is obviously just a different card.
Yep.
But yeah, Flight Hurtine with 2 to 8s is actually a huge, huge deal. That changes the shape significantly. Makes it a lot better. Pit Stop is Bus Stop. It is better. EX Pit Stop breaks focus, but not that much better. Oh, actually, this also beats Speed Bit Range 1, doesn't it? Non-EX.
And it doesn't lose to grasp anymore because it's 1 to 3.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, never mind. That is important. I still think Flight 13 is more important, but this has some significant changes.
These two, it felt obvious that he knew what the problems with them were, so he made like in the goal of making Overtune Monado, these are hitting the notes right because these are the buffs that you would give these to make them dumb.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like what are Bus Stop's weaknesses? Let's just fix those. This is indistinguishable from the regular card. It has one less power. For those not familiar, this is a joke. Sorry. Streetcar Named Disaster is 1 to 3, 10, 4, but it's often played as an EX with the use of one of his transformations. So 1 to 3, 11, 5 is Streetcar's usual stat line.
Which, to be fair, 6 is infinitely greater than 5 in this context of playing it as an EX, but it's hard to buff this card without making it like just mindless because it's already bordering on that anyways. Even at 4 speed, it's already bordering on that anyways.
Yep. Yeah. And then the boost is unchanged, but didn't really need any help anyway. And then Queen of Cars is just a straight up replacement for Hellward Bounds, and it's very good, but it's not. If you wanted to make Monado noticeably stronger, you could take this and make it a 2-gauge copy of Low Tiger Shot, and he would become vastly more terrifying. Like,
oh, that would be super goofy.
Yeah, the thing that he's actually missing is a way to kill you at long range. He's happy being at long range because he can just do all his shenanigans and do all his setup and make his engine, go vroom. But he only has 2 copies of Flight 13, and pretty soon he'll transform one. Having a projectile that he can use, especially a recurable projectile, would just break him in half. And like I said, even if it's a net -1 gauge each time you use it, it's that'd be appallingly good.
Yeah, like if even if it was just like pre-crit Low Tiger Shot, so it was
3, 8, 5, 2 with 5 guard, right?
Yes, although pre-crit as in extra point of power baked into the card too, because it would
Oh.
have hit +1 power.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's what you meant with crit. I thought you meant like without crit. Got it.
Pre-crit as in already crit.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
Yep.
get the crit baked in.
Yep, like a pre-crit
Um,
combo. Yep.
I don't even know if you want the draw as Monado. That probably would make it harder to manage your resources and deck and all that jazz.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just like
Did I lose you?
you're really free.
Oh, I think I lost you for a minute
Tests.
there. Sorry.
Test. Well, yeah, I heard. Did I lose you? So I just stopped speaking.
Yep.
After you hit with your really free copy of the barnstorming, it's like we're in, and yeah, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's so it's just Monado, but a little bit more so. And Monado is very, very good. Don't get me wrong. But this is you know, part of our case study of what's going on here. Like, may not have quite hit that mark to become something more than just Monado with buffs. She's up there, and she's certainly stronger than anyone should be. But I'm not sure she actually hits Alice Juno's here. Because so like, a lot of people, well, like, also, if you play Alice or Juno, or Jamina, you will not break them in half on your first try, for the most part. They are strong, but they also, like, require a level of development and mastery just like any other character. If you've played Juno once or against Juno once, and it was the first time the Juno player had ever played Juno, it probably made Juno look very strong. She's much stronger than that.
Jamina is kind of rare, but if you fought a good Exceed player playing Jamina, you might have seen a reasonably optimized Jamina, because her tools are pretty simple to use so long as you have a good fundamental Exceed game.
Yes, she is the fundamentals character. Being good at Exceed, you can run a good Jamina. Juno is a lot more shenanigans, and also has to play extremely high tempo, like as high as possible. Meaning being aggressive, but being aggressive in terms of pacing, not necessarily striking, although you do want to strike decently often. And then Alice is essentially the zoner, which is funny because she's comically aggressive compared to any other zoner in the game. But of these characters, she's basically the zoner. Like, she also does rush down and also murders you with combos, but she is far more reliant on maintaining certain positioning. She just happens to be really good at doing it, because why not? Anyway, the thing with Alice that breaks her in half. Well, okay, there's a lot. It's everything. I'm not gonna go into depth, but let's just start by saying
There's a power budget video on Alice. You can watch that if you want more details. The other thing, aside from these two boosts, is Sword and Cross is legitimately one of the strongest specials ever printed.
Yeah, in the context of her kid, it's absolutely insane. That's why I was like, man, I should pull out Sword and Cross. Wait, I should. Hang on a second. Note to self: these cards are misnames. I need to fix that. Well, egg on my face. Anyway, I have these names swapped. But yeah, like, this special, absolutely insanely good. Bonkers, amazing. In the context of Alice's kit, this thing does 9 damage at speed 6. Cool. Sword and Cross might be better. But turning this into a setup that secures 20 damage lethal, if you watch a video that should be up not too long before this one goes up when I eventually get it on YouTube, and watch the ending of the Ultimate Zangetsu game, and you'll see what an Alice game is supposed to look like. It is an unreactable multi-turn combo that does, you know, a couple digits of damage at the very least. And that's very cool, but like, learning how to make all the pieces work together and also making sure that you have the right options when you need them is non-trivial. Like, Alice is, I think, the hardest of the first 3 of the actual boss characters. and then we get into customs and things get weirder. So Ultimate Sengetsu actually feels like he hits this design pattern really well, because he has the same feature as each of them, right? Which is he's not busted till he exceeds, and then he's real busted.
He even shares the great design feature of having a 3-gauge exceed that really shouldn't be.
Yep. But yeah, his exceed is what's insanely good about him. His attacks are all good. Wild God's Blade should not exist. Certainly not as a special. It's just absolutely nuts. Goop Moon's hilarious. Form's Emptiness is really good. But his exceed mode is what breaks everything in half. Which actually is, like I said, the design paradigm of these characters is they're good. They're strong. Then they exceed. And you are not prepared. My impression, even though I've only played one game of him and it took me a while to like get him to turn on, is that he very much fits into this tier. I think he has those tools. He's more boost oriented than any of them, and the way he boosts is just different than the way that they boost, which is kind of weird to say, but he feels like he boosts more like a Season 5 character. And they are Season 1 characters through and through. Just me. Any thoughts on those? Because I want to talk about my own experiences from the character I designs.
I've only really seen the one Ultimate Zangetsu game, and I've not done a lot of analyzing on how he functions. But yeah, I'd probably say that he is the closest to hitting the mark, and it is because his design patterns are very reminiscent to how these ones already work, without giving him a needless amount of extra juice, Rugal. And I actually do like his design a lot. I think it's pretty neat to have like super swole Sea Viper, but like even more.
Yeah, no, I mean, I want to play more of him, because after I finally got him to exceed in that game and started to do his in-game stuff, I was like, oh, this is incredibly fun. Like, I want to play more Zangetsu matchups. Speaking of characters that I like more than is healthy, here's my boy, Sans. What do we get at the moment? Okay. So, Sans, I'm going to try to keep this short. I'll start by saying, if you're not familiar with the character, I recommend avoiding spoilers for Undertale. I think it's actually a pretty great game with a good story. Fandom's kind of insane, but who ain't? And I knew from the start there were going to be one of two ways to approach Sans, and I chose one of them as opposed to the other one. If you know how he works in the source, this will make a decent amount of sense. Like, you either make him where you want the experience of playing against Sans, or you want the experience of playing as Sans. I wanted the experience of playing as Sans. So Sans is the mill character. Sans exhausts opponents. He just runs you out until you're too tired to go on, until you have no more determination to spare. That was the premise. And then I secondarily chose, I think someone else gave me this idea, no more than one Prince of Power on his specials. This is a theme choice. It's also a filthy lie. These are way stronger than they look, except for this one. Like, Weight of Sin gains power by making the opponent discard their hand, which is obviously also kind of insane. Twinkle is 2 power, but also it ignores guard, so like it doesn't even matter how much power it has most of the time. Betrayal hits for 9. Zone Comeback hits for potentially 1 billion. These are amazing specials. And then I gave him stuff on top of that, because What I wanted specifically was a paradigm where, in the context of the S tiers, he feels slow, he feels weak, he doesn't have the like amazing godlike threats that they have, but he has incredibly good answers. He has the control tools to stop you from killing him, to buy time, to do whatever it is that he needs to do to control the situation. Accordingly, he has effects that should never be an exceed. Ever. These blue boxes introduce new timings. Or rather, they use timings that you're not supposed to be able to like play cards in. At the start of the opponent's turn, you may discard this from your hands. And if you do, they must strike. This ends their turn, because they're striking on their turn. Note that they're still initiating. They can still do anything associated with them initiating a strike, but they are using the strike action. They can't do anything else. Like, they can't reading, they can't, you know, play boosts, etc. This is extremely dumb and hideously unfair and really shouldn't exist. And that's important, is that feeling. Because all these characters feel like you're playing a different tier of game than regular Exceed. You're playing Exceed that is absurdly high stakes, absurdly high power. And Sans is not supposed to feel like that in practice, in terms of his stats. So he gets to have comically unfair stuff that just makes you offended that it should even be on a card ever. Likewise, when attacks are revealed, you can play this boost from your hand, paying a force, to invalidate their first attack. That's horrifying, right? This is like, you're set up perfectly after much work to get your amazing, 5-gauge ultra off. Well, you can't play it. Discard it. Next card. On we go. It's atrocious. But I'm not doing a power budget breakdown. I'm saying this again so that I remember that I'm not doing a power budget breakdown. But like, the challenge of Sans for me was making a character that has enough unfair stuff, well, and keeping it thematic, of course, but making a character that has enough unfair stuff to be able to compete with the S tier, while still feeling like he doesn't, while still feeling pillow-fisted compared to them. So he gets incredibly good boosts that aren't stats. Right, he has one stat boost, and he doesn't play it very much. He gets incredibly good control effects that are about not losing. They don't help him win. They help him not lose. This attack is also that in a nutshell. And then he has... what's the other boost? Yeah, this boost. A bunch of tools that are about dismantling, like buying time, dismantling threats or gaining control over the situation, dismantling threats, and then this is actually the big dumb threat. If this boost stays in play for more than a turn, you probably win. Specifically, if it stays in play for 3 turns, I think you always win every single time. But he has no way to make that happen. So this boost is the, like, you're in an advantage state, and you need to preserve that advantage, then take advantage of it in some way. Like, turn that on. Play one of these attacks, you're good. And if the opponent doesn't strike, then things just get much worse for them. Anyway, I'm rambling a bit because I'm very fond of this character design. It's self-serving, I know, but when I played him, he gave me exactly what I want from playing him, which is this feeling of, I don't really have a way to destroy my opponents, but I can whittle them down, and I can stop them from doing what they want to do to me. And I can do that for a long time. And that's what I wanted. That, to me, was the Sans experience. Probably still more fun to play into than Clippy, but way less fair. Like, Clippy's not actually that strong. Clippy's just incredibly annoying.
Yeah, I think we showed pretty nicely that Clippy's not actually that strong earlier.
Yeah, he folds under pressure, and he doesn't deal much damage. Like, he's just built to be incredibly obnoxious. Yeah, so my opinion is that I think I overshot a little with Sans, but also I think that I made Sans the hardest to play of any of these. And if I'm correct about that, I'll be quite pleased. Because I feel like he should be. He should be working very, very hard to be at the same level as these characters. I played him into Rugal multiple times. I don't think ever on stream. Sans into Rugal is like, I don't know, Treasure Knight into Juno. You got your work cut out for you.
That's a really good comparison. Rugal has a funny issue running into certain types of characters, which I can explain after you're done with.
Yeah, I think I was pretty much done with talking about Sans. It was like, as far as how to design a character to be a boss and like what issues we run into, my issues came from I can't make card shapes that are overtly good, so I make answers that are unreasonable, but don't carry things away. Like all of these cards are shaped like answers. None of these are, well, okay, hold on. There we go. None of these cards are particularly terrifying for the opponent to run into. Like, this one's good, but also if you actually look at the stat line, it's very, very beatable. Like, unless you are yourself a zoner, and even then, there are ways to deal with this. Just notably know that it exists so you don't die turn 1. Oh, unless he EXs it. Then you just get dunked on. Can't be helped. Yeah, Don't Come Back is the question card, and then everything else in here is an answer. It's, I'm going to dodge everything, be wherever I want. I ignore your guard. And also, this attack never goes away. Discard your hands. This manipulates resources, but also it has 3 armor, 5 guard, which is not a reasonable stat line. So even if it loses, it doesn't lose. And then seal the opponent's attack at speed 6. Like, these are all answers. They're ways to shut opponents down from doing their thing. And those tools have to be very strong to contend with the things that these characters are doing. But yeah. I don't know, I'm probably just rambling again, but I think that's how I would describe the way that I made Sand. He's an incredibly strong answer character.
One day I will actually design an answer character.
I don't know. Answer characters are hard to make 2 force boosts on. I'm still not sure Karma's in his
You
right
might be
place.
right. But I will find a way. So the funny issue that Rugal has running into certain types of characters, and this has actually felt really noticeably when he fights Sans, is when Rugal is fighting an actual opponent, Rugal wants to die.
Yep.
Because Rugal does not have a character ability on his front side. This when he Exceed is there for aesthetics, and also because technically it's the way it's standard now. But I don't care for that and would normally put a when you Exceed on the flip side anyways. But this is aesthetics, and also basically what your character ability is when you die, you don't die, and instead, bang boom, you got 20 health and another shuffle.
Yep.
And then you become ridiculous.
Is this Omega Rugal, by the way? Is that the right term?
Yes.
There you go.
So, Rugal into normal characters does not need a character ability, because his cards are all ludicrous. I'm not going to run over them, but they're all just like Shoto shapes, which is Ryu, Ken, Akuma, technically Dan, but like made better, usually.
Yeah, did I play him on stream? I think I did. Recently.
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, I'll find out. Yeah, if there's a video of him when I post this statement online that I'm saying now, then watch the video and you'll get to see, because I know when I most recently played Rugal. Oh no, I didn't play him. I played against him. Yeah, I played against Rugal recently. And it was one of those things where what I recall was that I was playing an ordinary character, they were playing Rugal, and I barely managed to get Rugal to flip. Like, it took everything I had just to kill him once, and then the fight started. Sorry, go on. I just wanted to relate that anecdote.
But yeah, like, I don't know exactly where Rugal would fall. Like, cannot exceed Rugal. Just character has 15 health and his cards. I don't know where he would fall, but it would be high. It would be very high on the old tiers.
Mm-hmm.
But into real threats, he really needs the succeed mode, which means he relies on the opponent being able to kill him. Sans is really bad at that.
Yep.
So Rugal needs to play suicidally into Sans, like do things that are reckless and cause him to take damage as quickly as possible, because he does not want to flip via deck out. Which notably, this is templated in a way that makes it so that if he loses via deck out, he instead exceeds.
Yep. And you get your free shuffle. But yeah, like that means that you're down to only one deck instead of 2 whole decks to play out the rest of your life. And Sans in particular is supposed to be able to force you out of making threatening plays for a long time. Like Sans, oh, you got that one. Yeah, Sans Succeed mode is like directly a mill ability, but also just like I said, his entire kit shape is, I'm not trying to kill you, I'm trying to tire you out. I'm trying to avoid you. And man, if Twinkle had one more point of speed on it, I feel like the Rugal matchup would be a worlds different.
Yeah.
Genocide Cutter is so good.
And
Darkness Barrier is also an issue, but whatever.
Rugal is a very strong character, and he's incredibly abusive, especially because he can't be killed under normal means. Like, probably the closest that a character comes to having a fair matchup into him that isn't Trillion is Sans, and it's because of the mill threat looming over the entire game. That is a genuine, actual threat to how Rugal plays.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alice, Juno, Jamila can't outstat him. Well, Jamila has like a shot, but that's only because High Dive is dumb.
High Dive is ridiculous.
Like that's basically the only reason that she stands any chance, I think. What? Hold on. There we go. Yeah, that's High Dive. Folks are wondering. High Dive, oh, actually, there are track commands for these. High Dive. Might be the strongest Ultra ever made. That is to say, by level 99. Obviously, several of these customs can compete with it or far exceed it. But, like, I think High Dive is in competition with Akumetsu. And that's saying something.
Especially considering High Dive is a 2-gauge ult,
yes,
and
it costs
Akumetsu's not.
6 less gauge than Akumetsu.
Rugal's got really good ults, but I'm not sure that they're High Dive. They're, different and also absurdly punishing.
This one's definitely close as far as its value proposition.
Yeah, that's remember his Exceed mode.
Yeah, in Exceed mode this gets
a dirty lie.
Yeah.
This is not Burning Dance, but better. It's that one Caden Ultra that's like one of his best cards, but better with like all caps.
I'm trying to think of what you could even compare this to. There is no card shape that is anywhere close to this good. Anywhere in Exceed. Like 1 to 4, 7, 6. Ignore armor, ignore guard. That's unfathomably good. Oh man. Now have a look at my power, indeed.
Yeah, notably one of the changes that is in line for Rugal is both of these are becoming 4-gauge ults, because honestly it's fair. I think Destruction Omega is getting slightly buffed in the process. I think it's getting 7 guard, just to make it literally EX sweep.
Excellent.
But otherwise, like, these both honestly would still feel fine as 4-gaugers, and that's including a nerf that already exists on that Rugal too, which is that he shuffles his gauge back into his deck when he dies.
Oh, okay. That's a
That was
that's
like
a lot
that was like
saner.
the first thing that like needed to be changed, and the other is a lot of boost reworks. I'm trying to figure out exactly like I'm trying to pull the levers such that his attacks don't actually need to be nerfed because I don't want to. I don't want to ruin the beautiful design work that went into making all these disgusting cards.
Yeah, that's totally fair. They are.
And honestly, his boosts are the thing that really push him into absurdity. So in general, tapping those down and reworking some stuff, I want to.
Makes sense. Oh. Sorry, that was my Discord again?
I think right now I have him at 20 health, so 10 and 10. But I'm just kind of pulling levers to see what happens. Like, what will probably happen is the Rugal is made of paper, but is absurdly overpowered. But it's also like tuning it so that when he dies is important, especially considering the Sans matchup, because that's actually interesting. And
yeah,
if Rugal is easier to suicide into Sans and become overpowered, then like it's going to change the dynamics a lot. So like, I don't know when I'll release an updated Rugal, because like I feel like he still is probably over Alice, and Jamina, but that might just be something that always is the case.
Yeah, I mean, at this power level that these characters collectively are at, it's fine to have. Well, firstly, of course, it's just fine. Period. Like, they're all busted.
Yeah, and it's all for fun too.
Yeah.
Like Rugal feels like Rugal. He feels a lot like Rugal. So in that regard, he is very much a design success. You feel like you're fighting Rugal, and you feel like you're playing Rugal. Excellent. And he captures a lot of the like experience of fighting Rugal, especially in KF94 with this the gimmick that I gave him.
Yeah. But yeah, so all good. But also, I think in particular, it's like if we have a rock paper scissors dynamic, that's fine too. Like if Rugal is the strongest, but Sans threatens him, but Sans loses to these friggin' rushdown characters. Like, that itself is interesting, as long as they're all close enough that you can have a competitive game. Which, like, Alice is not a character that has a strictly losing game against anyone because of those boosts.
Those boosts are really dumb, and
her exceed
like,
mode. But yeah.
Oh god, her exceed mode it really shouldn't have been printed.
Yep. But yeah, like, it is actually conceivable that you can outstat Juno so hard she just doesn't function. Like, Rugal Juno might be overwhelming, but Jamina has a silver bullet. A couple of them actually, and then Alice is Alice, so like they have chances at least. Amusingly, though, along those notes, Juno, who notably mills herself, not technically, but like Juno, who burns through her cards and destroys her own resources, probably wipes Sans out pretty handily because she can rush him down like mad.
It just occurred to me that Juno's basically like another implementation of Burnout Car, like a very different implementation, but it's a similar idea.
Yeah. If her ability was mandatory, right? Like if you had to, then she'd be Burnout Car.
I guess actually that's another consideration with Burnout Car, is if I want to push him up, or if I want to push him down. I think it would be easier to push him up.
I mean, probably the risk there is like whether you lose some of the distinctiveness, because shapes get really samey when they all have like if you rebalance like let me say it this way. I'm impressed that right now he has a kit of diverse shapes, considering his character ability practically prohibits that.
I know, right?
It's like, wow, these sure are shapes that actually work in the context of his ability and are substantially different, despite his ability trying to homogenize everything he does. Like, that's what it's built to do.
I think if I were to push him up, the way I would push him up is by adding crits, reworking boost slightly. That kind of approach.
Yeah, I do think he...
Because Burnout Car is so borderline already.
Yeah, I do think that he... It'd be very hard for me to imagine him dealing with any of these characters right now. Like, he's very clearly much weaker than them. Yeah, Danica Patrick also murders him, but that's for different reasons. Like, Danica Patrick is a sustained character who also has... Where is it? Daredevil.
Root boost.
Which I think mostly destroys Burnout Car. Like, he has to play Way the Warrior strike next turn, and then they're only even. That's kind of rough. Anyway. Anything? Wow, sorry. Anything further you wanted to talk about? I'm probably gonna call it here.
Not really. I just thought this was an interesting topic now that we've actually had some more exploration into this territory of like how difficult it is to actually hit these 3 characters.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they are. Everyone knows that they're strong. Everyone knows they're busted. But understanding exactly how strong they are, exactly how busted they are, and then trying to figure out how to make a character that hits that power level without like breaking the game completely in half. Because, okay, we said over and over, right? Trillian's the strongest. She is super busted, but she's still busted within the engine. Like, she's busted because she's an unbelievably good stat monster with very good card shape.
She's basically a re-implementation of the original version of Sydney and Serena, which you can find if you look for it. So I don't mind mentioning it. Which they had the same gimmick, which was your transforms give you stats. So they were just they became Rugal slowly, basically.
Yes, like you very gradually just get better stats always, and then your stats destroy the worlds. But yeah, the
things that really push Trillian over is the like absurd amount. Like her attack shapes are incredibly consistent, which means she has great wild swings
all the time, and
she gets value all the time. Her exceed ability is disgusting. Both halves of it are ridiculous.
Yeah, that's the big thing. But yeah, that reactive pull, when you set your attack, you may spin force pull too. When we say reactive, by the way, that we're talking about the fact that you can use it when you didn't initiate. Right? The opponent initiates, and then you can spin a force pull too, and it's optional. Like, this means that you can't zone her. It is not possible. It also means that, like, you have to deal with these 3 card shapes working at ranges 1 to 4 or 1 to 3. And, you know, this one has at least 6 power and probably 8s. This one has 6 power. Well, sorry. This one has 6 to 10 power. This one has 6 to 8 power. This one has 3 to 7 power.
A nice subtle thing about this too is note these ones do not have transforms on them, so you will have consistent access to these cards.
Yep, you will be using both copies of these at every chance you get. But yeah, but like all that to say, Trillian is just a raw stats monster. She's really, really good at being a raw stats monster. She is the stats monster. But she's not, like, she doesn't do something that's totally different from Exceed. She doesn't change the game experience. She's just unreasonably strong. Which is a little surprising when you think about it.
Yeah, and to emphasize, there was a actual like character design that was considered for 7th Cross that was shaped like a worse Trillian, but had the same like core problem that is making them busted. Well, Trillian's got like 4 core problems that make her busted, but one of them, the biggest one, the one that makes her like uninteractive,
is that she is the 7th Cross stream. of you have +2 power, you have +3 guard, you have, where's the other one? There you go, +2 armor. You can draw cards, and what's the other one? There you go, you can hit mill 2. This attack, by the way.
Good attack.
It's a very good attack. But yeah, she doesn't do something totally different. She's still just an incredibly strong seed character. She is, like you said, like inadvertently modeled after an existing design. And well, maybe it's not surprising that she's so far above this power level, which, you know, we know Nep was trying to make her busted, so like that's
Yeah.
very, very successful in that regard. She is unquestionably a successful design. But yeah, it's a little impressive how well he managed to accomplish that without doing anything that is like unrecognizable as Exceed. She does have an unusual amount of mill. Like, that's not a thing that most characters have, or actually that anyone has, excuse me. But, you know, that's not an unreasonable character gimmick. That's the thing that anybody could have, we just don't. Like, it's on one boost, but it's not in any attacks, it's not a hit effect. Like, that's not a
And it's even something that, like, has been considered, just not on a character that ever got released.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Force the opponent to discard cards from the top of their deck is not a new thing. It's just, well, no, new is range, actually. Totally different. Sorry, had to. Couldn't resist. But yeah, finding ways to hit that power level without, like, falling back on doing completely busted stuff is hard. And when I say completely busted, sorry, let me rephrase that. I've seen customs that break the game in half. Right, like, not pictured here, customs that make the engine stop working. You know, people who do damage during reveal so that you get stunned no matter what your speed is. People who play attacks during timing steps that aren't in strikes. Right, like this is X to your salty bet. This is like your character's on the loading screen and they're attacking. And almost always those customs do that because the creators did not understand how to simulate effects correctly.
Yeah.
Like, those are almost always
notably,
just
sometimes
accidents.
on Salty Bet, like, the game crashes and it has to reboot. Like, the same thing happens in Mugen as in card game Mugen, where sometimes someone makes a quote-unquote poorly coded design and it just breaks the game and it locks up.
Yep. Or it has unintended effects. Like, we got the intent on Danica Patrick, which is that the overdrive is your next attack, not your attacks have for the rest of the game, +1 power for every card you seal this way. Which would sure be a thing, but there's much worse stuff. There's cards entering zones that cards aren't allowed to be in, and effects that require that to resolve in order to perform other effects. Like, you can lock the engine up in some weird ways, which is pretty entertaining. Don't get me wrong, but doing it by accident is less good. Anywho, sorry, I really am just rambling, I think.
It's fair. It's always fun to just chat.
Yeah, custom design is fun. More people should do it. By the way, let me get this out of the way. Your customs will be bad. All customs are bad. My customs are bad. Your customs are bad. It's fine, right?
My customs suck.
Yeah, the fun part of customs is firstly just to get the ideas out there, and then screw around with them, and then make them better. And you'll learn from every mistake you make. Well, okay, ideally, but if you don't learn from it, trust me, someone else will. So make them anyway.
Yeah. At worst, I will learn from it.
There you go. There you go. Alright, well, anything else I need to show off? Yeah, so like I said, I've got to fix a couple visual things, but then your opponent will be in the module soon. So, look forward to it. So will other things and other secrets in other places, of course, as always. Because it's way more efficient to add secrets than it ever was before. Oh yeah, Secret Skull Man. Let me just show that one real quick. That'll be a good note to end the stream on.
True.
Secret Skullman 33.
It's really amazing all the different ways you can break TTS.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't remember if I did this trick on the last stream, but as you can see, this is a deck of 3 cards labeled Secret Skullman 33. This deck contains 1 object, no cards, 1 object, Super Skullman 33. It now contains 2 things. By the way, it's empty. Hey look, it's Skullman. This is a perfectly ordinary Skullman. He has the cursed normals and the cursed card back because he's from April Fools. This is working as intended.
This was a backdoor way to to get Skullman because his button was removed to accurately reflect his the real life ability to get him now.
Yep. Yeah. For those who missed it during April Fools, the Skullman button was disabled because, well, nobody in real life can play him. Why should we? He's just impossible to acquire. So I added Secret Skullman to the trash, which I then made very secret because, of course, let's just say that this object doesn't work the way that objects should work. Don't try to draw from this, by the way. And definitely never use the keyboard to draw from this. It will not do good things. I'm trying to remember if it breaks if you draw from the other side.
I don't believe so.
I think it does if he's in it. I think it does because it tries to remove the topmost index and then actually it removes him, and things get weird. Let's check real quick. I've been doing things to TTS code that TTS does not like. It's very gratifying. Yeah, there you go. It degenerates into an actual Skullman deck with 2 non-card. Oh no, okay. The non-cards are still there. They're just on the bottom of the deck, which is okay. I'm using the drop bottom card function, by the way. If you're wondering what that noise is. So let's see. 30. You know how I said you shouldn't draw from that deck? One, two. Yeah, it's trying to draw cards that don't exist, so it's freaking out. Well, to the dulcet tunes of cards shuffling frantically as they attempt to deal cards that don't exist to my hands from an object that doesn't contain any cards, you'll call it a night. Thanks again for joining me, Blue. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was really fun, and as always, I really like playing with you. I really like discussing Ixie design.
Likewise. Same here. And for those watching, I hope you enjoy when this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching now, and then I hope you enjoy whenever I get this video up on YouTube at some later point, which, you know, I'll happen when I get around to it. As always, if you have requests, if there's stuff you want to see or hear about, let me know. Drop me a message on Discord, leave a comment to YouTube, something like that. And I'll see you all around. Oh, and of course, don't forget, drink water. It's good for you. Stay hydrated, my friends. Thanks for joining me. Bye. Yes, I really am going to leave this sound playing, so if you find it annoying, tune out now.